Hi, this is Sean Dowse, Mayor of Red Wing. I'm here today to highlight what we're doing in Red Wing to get through the COVID-19 emergency. It's a time when most of us are staying at home, practicing social distancing, and the hygiene science recommends. But as a community, we are pulling together. Today, we're going to highlight what the Red Wing schools are doing, and I'm talking to Karsten Anderson, Superintendent of Schools, about what our hometown schools are doing to get our students through the COVID emergency. Thank you, Superintendent Anderson, for joining me today.
Well, thank you, Sean, for the invitation.
Yep.
We'd love to talk about our school and community, so it's a thrill to be here.
So, just last week, the governor said that the school should close down to the end of this school year. So how's that going to affect going forward from here?
Well, as you said, Governor Walz made that determination last week and announced it to the public. We were not surprised by the announcement. I personally feel it's the right thing to do for schools. We have a distance plan in place through April 30th already, and we're just extending that to the rest of the school year. As far as a day-to-day learning goes, it'll be very similar as what we've had for a couple of weeks in March in terms of student expectations, staff expectations, and the learning going forward.
So are you planning any programs for the summer?
That's still a wait and see. I know the governor is working with the Commissioner of Education to determine what distance learning or what learning looks like over the summer. We're kind of assuming that distance learning will be the primary mode of education throughout the summer, and so we're planning accordingly. That will look like some different learning experiences for our kids with special needs in terms of extended school year options, as well as kids who need to make up credits over the summer.
Mhm. And how about the fall? What do you think is going to happen then?
We're operating under the assumption that we will be back in school starting in late August. But we're also keeping some ideas or some flexibility in mind because we know things are changing, and obviously everyone wants our students and staff to be safe. So we're looking at multiple options, but our primary option is assuming that we will be back in session in school buildings starting in late August.
So we'll cross our fingers as we get there.
Yeah,
So,
obviously educators want to be with their kids.
mm-hmm.
We want to see them face to face on a regular basis. That's by far the best way that learning takes place. Distance learning in Red Wing has been good. We've had a lot of really strong successes, but we want to be face to face with our kids as soon as possible.
How did the school develop and implement distance learning in such a short time?
Yeah, it was quite a change for us because, as you said, we only had 2 weeks to plan. Some other schools in the state have had e-learning already in place, and so they had a head start at that time. But we spent some really good planning days setting up how we would deliver instruction, ordering equipment, delivering that equipment to parents, teaching teachers how to use our learning platform. It was probably the most productive 2 week period of certainly my educational career. And I think most educators would say the same thing. It was a challenging 2 weeks under unfortunate circumstances, but we feel really good with what we proceeded with during that 2 week period.
So going into distance learning and going into this COVID-19 emergency it has been a community-wide effort. What groups of people have contributed to the school's efforts in different ways here?
Yeah, certainly the key phrase there is community wide. And, we're one small part of that community, led by so many other facets. And we're proud to at least contribute in our way to that effort. We've had a lot of external, internal groups who've really stepped up to provide distance learning and to be part of that team effort in the community. We have several businesses and nonprofit organizations that have offered their help to our students as well as school district. For example, Youth Outreach has mentors who are connecting with our students so that they can continue their mentorship relationships as we move forward. That's just one example. Uh, United Way, Every Hand Joined, and other community groups have really played a big role for us. Internally, we've had obviously our teachers went through significant training over that 2 week period. They are essentially restructuring everything they do over the last 2 months of the school year. So it's been a lot of extra work for our teachers, but other groups as well have really stepped up. For example, we have the uh, summer food service staff that actually started a couple months early this year. Sometime this week, we will serve our 100,000th meal, to the community. And so we're providing meals 7 days a week using bus services provided by First Student. So we have food service workers and paraprofessionals who are preparing meals, delivering them to students 3 days a week. But each day covers multiple days for breakfast and lunch, and so 100,000 meals is pretty remarkable.
That's a really remarkable. That your folks should be highly praised for getting that system together so we could deliver this needed food to the students of Red Wing. That's really great. Good
Yeah, it's
work.
been a joy to watch, that's for
Uh-huh.
sure. You can see the food service workers at the end of the day, um, exhausted, I think, from the extra work that they're doing, but you can tell that they're very satisfied with their contribution. But we have our custodians who are cleaning our buildings inside and out. We have childcare workers who are providing a needed service for our healthcare workers and other emergency workers. We have about 40 to 50 kids on a typical day being served by our childcare providers. Our technology staff has been exceptional and extremely busy with ordering and delivering the equipment.
So, how will COVID-19 change how we educate going forward, do you think?
So I think there are going to be two primary changes in terms of how we provide our education. First, I think our staff is going to become even better at working together to provide high quality educational services. And certainly not surprisingly, our staff members are going to be much more skilled in terms of using technology to deliver instruction. And that can happen if we're in distance learning, or it can happen when we're in the regular classroom. I'm
Mhm.
confident that our teachers will be definitely up to that expectation as far as using technology more effectively.
So, how can others in the community help you with your efforts going forward?
Well, I think the most important thing that people can do is just you know uh, make sure that the kids that they know are reached out to. If you have a family member or a neighbor who happens to be a student in our school district, I just hope people reach out to those kids, get to know them, understand their struggles, understand that things are different, and just be willing to continue to work with all of our kids throughout the community. I think that's probably the most important thing, especially when we're talking about our seniors who have had their senior year completely changed because of COVID-19. They're going through a lot, not only what's happening now, but also what's going to be happening for them next year. So I hope that there are those interpersonal relationships that continue to flourish. That'll make the biggest difference. The school right now is in pretty strong shape, I think, in terms of finishing the school year with distance learning. Certainly, we're reaching out to our partners if we need some additional assistance, and we'll keep doing that as well.
Yeah, I agree with you. Our seniors are really special folks this year. It's like they're unique in history right now, and we all have to reach out to them and support them through this and get them launched into their next phase of their careers and their lives, certainly,
hmm
because this is so totally new.
Seniors obviously have lost their prom, their last band concert, or choir concert, their spring sports, graduation ceremony, at least the traditional graduation ceremony. And at the same time, they probably understand more things more intimately than any other class in history. So
Hmm.
hopefully people will remember, especially our seniors, that they're going through a special time in history and that we're going to be just as strong afterwards.
Yes, absolutely. Very well said. So thank you, Superintendent, for sharing your thoughts with me today. And thank you all for watching the way Red Wing is pulling together to get us through. Thank you so much.